All right, buckle up.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right. Just on my phone here, no external mic. So, both the communist movement and the deep state's in conservatism too. It's in the church things I was speaking about. Remember, it's CIA, it's PSYOP, it's also other foreign spy agencies that can actually wire in and take advantage of it. It's not some super secret U.S. government operations. It's a perversion of government operation, and it can involve anybody in the nation, any organization in the nation. They play by CIA rules, but it's a criminal enterprise, and it's in the United States. It's not, they're not trying for United States global dominance necessarily. They're trying for deep state global dominance, and that leaves their options open. Whoever it is they want to work with, they can manipulate, pay, or destroy, or all the above. So they're not political, but they're political. In other words, they're not traditionally political. They, why would a spy insert themselves in politics? Because they want to manipulate politics. And it's a spy, and it's spies and people that were trained by spies that are part and parcel of a criminal enterprise. So it's the worst of anything you can ever imagine. So in the church, it's this. Well, at this point, I believe the Elizabeth Smart situation could have been caused. Like they could have, like Gilgo Beach, they could have found her faster, but they were busy extorting people in the LDS because this is how they get in and take over your organization. So they were extorting people in the LDS, like, you took Elizabeth Smart, didn't you? That kind of thing. But also, they were beginning to insert the CIA operatives, the FBI, the CIA, the local police. It's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers to a certain degree. So at this point, there was something untoward within the whole Elizabeth Smart thing as far as who, what, when, and where, and why. She's kind of almost like the Jonathan Luna thing, because they use that as a pressure mechanism, a psychological mechanism to force people to either shut up or allow the deep state or be the deep state. And then, of course, what they're supposed to be using against Gaddafi and people like that, they're using against me and Jonathan Luna and other people such as that I've been speaking about. Again, it could be the U.S. attorney there in, I don't even know what the location was. I can't remember. But the guy just committed suicide. And believe me, they'll drug whoever they have to, even to the point of just drugging door handles and toilet seats. That's how they take over a place like a courthouse. They use those spy drugs on you, and then you're more susceptible. And if they know not to touch it, they know not to sit on the toilet seat, they know not to grab the door handle. But also, there's a side to that drug that if you're part of the in crowd, or some of the drugs they use, if you're part of the in crowd, it doesn't affect you the same way. It actually could cause you to kill somebody for the deep state. See how that works? Well, because they're pumping those people up and they're destroying the other people. Like I was speaking about the feeds. Now they can make people depressed, and I'm sure they're trying to make Alejandra Dia depressed. And there's other people. I'm just using her as an example. She's a spiritual person, and at this point, uh, Hashem benefits from what I can help people understand about her life. She's a victim of the deep state. I told you it was run by Nazis years ago, or at least a good portion of it. Look, if people like Jews with money that are giving them money or a part, or they think they can get their money, it's different than liking Jews or not hating Jews. They can hate Jews and still take advantage of Jewish money. That's normal for Nazis and spies and all of that. Because most people that are part of this thing are megalomaniacs, narcissists, sociopaths, those type of things. And of course, I'll tell you that's what I am, and I'm far from it. So they also would like Sharia law, and they would like communism. Sharia law, fundamentally, Sharia law and communism are the same thing, or similar things. There's one's about religion and one's about like the opposite. But you see how that works. They can move through different communities at that point. Churches have been infiltrated by CIA and their operators. Sometimes it's like a local cop, and he's an ultra conservative, but it's the deep state. Well, because they'll only go after the person they're supposed to go. It has nothing to do with conservatism. That's the role they play in the deep state. They gain entrance into conservative community. That's why you find some people are really not even conservative at all. After years of, I'm in the good old boy network, I'm conservative. Well, it's crazy because, like in the Marshal Service, you had racists, but you also had black people that were racist against white people. So they would focus them at white people. And you had white people that were racist against black people, and they would focus them against black people. See, that's how spies work. That's also how criminal enterprise works. But oh no, they're pretty dirty. When you get to that level of dirtiness, you can go out there and save 1,000 children a week, and it won't matter, because the whole world devolved into that because of your people and people like you, moving that anti-energy. Some people in law enforcement, they don't want crime to stop, because then, where do you go to work then? And where do they get off? They don't have normal ways. Like I submerged myself in religion. I immersed myself in Native American food, other people's cultures. They have no way of feeling okay about themselves without being, God on earth. That's really what they're doing. They sit in the temple of God. They sit in these law enforcement entities as if they are God, deciding who lives and dies. This is the kind of thing they need in their mind. So if crime were to disappear completely, they wouldn't have that edge. So that's where communism and Sharia law come in. Obviously, it's a deep state type of. So I could actually say it further: deep state, Sharia law, and communism are pretty much run the same way. Well, if you just think about it, in Sharia law, you can rape somebody's daughter and it's honorable. That's the way the deep state mind is. But yeah, you can kill somebody, cut their head off, torture them, cut their hands off, maybe even their private parts off if they rape the wrong person. Again, lynching black people, Jews, Native Americans. So you're Native Americans are way out of where you're supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know much about. I respect him as he's a military veteran, Desert Storm. Justin Jones there, and the other lady seems to be real. I've been in, I don't care if you're a liberal, but you have to be real about it. You can't be phony about it. I don't care if you work for the people. Like, working for the people isn't just liberal. It's just the way the world devolved. It's like it has nothing to do with being liberal, because conservatives theoretically would take care of people, and President Trump is trying to build that world. He really is. There's just a lot of bad publicity. Yeah, he's not perfect, and I know that. I mean, because I read the scriptures. Why do you expect him to be perfect when the scriptures tell you Jesus himself wasn't even good? So that's the problem with your minds. You're in that hierarchical mind. So it's obviously a deep state movement. They don't care. They'll use Sharia law. People like in Dearborn right now, people in the deep state can contact Sharia law people in Dearborn. They just got to pay the right amount of money. So if I were to move to Dearborn, they would attack me, and they would make up stories about me. Again, that's spycraft. That's our military intelligence machine, where we destroy a country, destroy people. But again, it's obvious if you look at the world that they didn't use it. I mean, they destroyed my life, and they kept me from getting anywhere. But yet, look at the Russians. I mean, they got everywhere. That's who they're supposed to be using it against. And they don't use it against them. Why? They were paying members of the deep state. So the one guy they arrested, the one FBI agent, that's just smoke and mirrors. Say, oh, look, we're arresting those people. Although I imagine, that gross number of people that Cash fired, some of them were in there, had to be, whether he was correct about who they were or not. So again, their charmed life kind of ended to a certain degree. I think they've set up shop again in many communities within the Trump organization. They just had to figure out how to do it. And they usually do it with extortion and bribery. And then false statements are within that. The number of false statements it's deafening. They use so many against me. They showed me in the Marshal Service how they would do it. And I couldn't believe, because Chief Donovan was part of it, but maybe there may have been somebody that tried to convince him. Well, because he said that Shelton told the truth, and I'm like, that didn't happen. But that's when the deep state made their, and he may have been part of the deep state, thinking he was, working me into the deep state, and one day I would be a made man or something. See, that's the other thing that they do. They tell everybody's going through the same thing. Next thing you know, Shemp's part of it. Next thing you know, Working's part of it. Next thing you know, Burke's part of it. Oh, they're going to bring Larry in, but they're actually executing it. They would have freaked out if I went to the SOG. They would have paid somebody. I mean, gold bars and untraceable cash. That's how they do it. They would have paid somebody in there to mess me up. But I don't know. I mean, Working was big on it, and there's a couple other guys, and they were like trying to push me. They said, "Don't worry, we'll be right by." They almost guaranteed. They actually did. They guaranteed me I'd graduate and be a Sauger. They actually did. Working said, if I have to stand next to you through the whole freaking thing, I'll do it. I don't know why it was important at that point, other than maybe they found out that I knew explosives and demolitions and all of that. But years ago, that was rare. Like when I did it, it was rarer than it is today, because we went to war, so many wars, Like when I was doing it, and when I was in the Marshal Service, nobody really knew what I knew. I have no idea, but at that point, I think I already knew that it was Jim had already identified it as being CIA. It's probably within a couple months of me leaving. Jim Spicer is. I thought it was just some beef that was going on between me and the FBI. I didn't totally understand it, but once you work in government long enough, you don't understand. You don't have to understand much. It's just a lot of freakazoids. And no, they didn't give me my retirement. That's after I get it. That's their party line. Oh, we gave him retirement. I had to go to a senator to fight him, and of course they wouldn't fight the senators. So much crime that was committed against me. If that ever got anywhere. So again, the whole Sharia law communist thing, they're desensitizing people in reference to extrajudicial harassment, extrajudicial, even to a certain degree, incarceration, but extrajudicial punishment. And it's based upon fraud. Everybody in the deep state knows it's fraud. Now, some people, they can't live within their mind. They put it somewhere else. And they infiltrated the pedophile hunters, or it may have actually only been that. You know, they had it in the government. Some of those people were deep state, there's no doubt. But somehow, you know, when it went to the private sector, right, and again, that it's just easier to do it that way. And you make sure the cops are in on it. I'm sure Marshall Hughes wouldn't have all those vehicles and all that nice life if he wasn't part of the deep state. I think he was actually a cocaine cowboy that never got caught because he was deep state. Marshall Hughes was selected over the others for a deep state takeover of the Garmetz courthouse and part of a larger takeover of the Baltimore federal community by the deep state. That's it. He's a deep state assassin. I received blips that officers mysteriously, while he was in the state police, mysteriously committed suicide around him. Or something to that effect. Could have been, I think there was a suicide or two, but there were also disabilities and other things. Now he's a devil. There's no doubt that Johnny Hughes was a devil. I mean, a full-fledged devil. You can play your games, Marshal Service, all you like. But there's a day of reckoning when you leave this planet, if not before. So again, it's that desensitizing. Like in Dearborn, they're totally just, they like rip the throats of animals and shit. They're sick. Like, you know, I guess some people go hunting, but they'll get like they're people, not just their butchers. Will kill animals. They're all desensitized. They don't give a shit about nobody but themselves in reality. There's a few people that do charity, but you know, they're not in power. The Islamic charity organizations and aid organizations is not going to outpower the Muslim Brotherhood, CARE, and all those people. I don't care what CARE, like, you could probably point to an era of CARE where they weren't that dangerous, but they are Sharia law flunkies, and that's it. And the fact is, in Sharia law, if you look at it, it's megalomaniac and narcissist in a codified system. Sharia law is not the Quran. So I don't believe Sharia law is part of Islam. So again, don't tell me I'm an Islamophobe or I'm anti-Islam. I believe Sharia law is bullshit. Bullshit from Satan. Stop the Quran. I don't want to see it. But yet they love it. That's why it's Sharia law, not just a basic Islam person. They're not empowering Islam. They're empowering Sharia law. And they're empowering communism. Same kind of nutso, megalomaniac, narcissistic society. And they're ignorant. I don't know how else I got there. I mean, he's probably unscrupulous. He's probably criminally intelligent, but he's not an intelligent man by any stretch of the imagination. But he did use that projection thing. on Vance. Say it about them because obviously his history is discrimination. And he's in the Democratic Party. This is crazy. I don't know if the Democratic Party really ever was truly not racist. No, you have to clean yourselves up before people stop talking about you. It'd be nice to have extra money for charity, but you burned it all. And it was stolen by Democrats. We only go back 5 years. I'm sure if we look 15 years ago, we'll find the same thing. While our troops were dying overseas fighting Islamic Jihad, these Islamic people here were in the United States stealing money, inserting themselves into our colleges and admissions procedures and offices that approve school aid. And where do you think it went to? Well, there's more Islamic doctors than anybody else. You stole it. You all stole those positions while writing scripts and pill mills, addicting our kids and our wives and our friends to narcotics. That's what happened. The number of Islamic doctors increased and the number of pill mills increased. They don't care. It's not their family because they're good Muslims. They go to the mosque and write scripts for your kids or for people that would sell drugs to your kids. So again, this has been going on a lot longer than they're going to let you see. Now that you figured out it's going on, they're going to play the Trump administration. Well, you don't want to say it happened before Biden because then it happened on our watch. You already said that there was a secret cells operating within the U.S. government while you were in office the last time. That's all it was. That's why the deep state was able to do stuff. I kind of sent the alarm when I was there, but nobody stopped them. Back in 2017, 18, I'm telling you, the deep state was running within your organization. We didn't call it the deep state. Everything I ever said has been proven. So again, it's just this desensitizing of the public. You're the in person. In communism, you're the in person. You don't have to worry about nothing. But the out person, you make stories up about them and you throw them in jail if you can. It's narcissism. It's megalomania. Sociopaths. ISIS was nothing but a bunch of sociopaths, man. A bunch of narcissistic sociopaths. That's who they are. But they also have witchcraft, and so does the Sharia law people. Arabic witchcraft is big, believe me. That's why they're able to pull the wool over everybody's eyes for such a long time. At this point, it shouldn't be. Only idiots are going to vote for Islamic. Even the Islamic people are stupid, because only a certain number of them will suffer from Sharia law. If your daughter doesn't give a boss man sex, then guess what happens? You get punished by Sharia law. You don't have any rights in Sharia law. The boss man society, with a few boss women thrown in. Cut their heads off. Do this to them. They get to rape your sister, but if you even try to have sex out of wedlock, they'll cut your private part off or your hand off or so. It's insanity. It's a bunch of ghoulish bumpkins. Ignorance has taken over the world. If you're ignorant, you can go far in this world. Why? Look at the world; it's destroyed. The advances that we made years ago, we don't make anymore. AI is part of the plan. They'll go in there. They've already restricted my AI, and they go, "Well, we created it." Well, yeah, and I pay you the money to use it. I've heard that we created it for decades, as they destroy my ability to access information technology. And they'll say, "Oh, you're just too dangerous to access. You're grooming people." Every time they use that word grooming in reference to me, they should be put in prison. It's a false statement. I never groomed anybody in my life. And of course, they're the groomers. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.